On this episode of Purposely Curious, I give Leone a recap of my recent trip to Paris. It was my first overseas trip since the pandemic started. I share how it went, and we also delve into a few TV shows at the end. Join us as we have a casual conversation among friends. So, get nice and cozy as this episode starts now. Hello, Leone.
Greetings, Mary. How are you?
I'm good. So, I just got back from vacation. I was going to say holiday. I got so used to saying holiday.
Oh, yeah, you're bougie. So, you definitely say holiday.
So, I had like a transitional phase to get back to work, adjust with my new caseload, any kind of chaos. And then, so I just feel like I had to do an episode to get back in the groove of things. As you guys know, I do this as a hobby. So I get a little bit sidetracked sometimes, although I'm pretty consistent, right, Leone?
Right.
But being on vacation and kind of threw me off. So thank you again for joining me again on another episode, Leone.
It is my absolute pleasure. I always enjoy this with you. We always have a good time.
We do. Now, I kind of teased this with Leone before we started recording, but there is a listener who has an issue with you saying greetings, Mary. He messaged me the first time and was like, I don't know what it is about that. I just don't like, but very nice.
Can I ask, is it female or male?
Male.
Okay.
It's male. And then he messaged me again months later and he was like, I don't know why. It just really bothers me. The greetings. And he then said, but he's like, maybe it's the way I am. Like I can't remember what he said about his personality, where for some reason it just bothers him when you say greetings.
Can we give his name or no? Probably shouldn't, right? Keep him anonymous, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, he messaged me on Instagram, but I just thought he was laughing the whole time. Do you know what I mean? Like, and then he said it could just be me because I guess he's a certain type of way. But I laughed and I was like, well, he has an issue with greetings.
Well, here's the funny thing about that word. It does not exist in my vocabulary. I do not use that word with anybody. I do not say like, you come in my door. I'm like, greetings, Mary, come on in. I'm like, I ain't fucking this. No, I don't talk that way, But, but there is a connection because you and I talked about something early on when we started doing this, and there's a reason why I say it.
Mm-hmm.
And
share with us.
I'm gonna reveal right now because it ties into something we talked about a long time ago, and I'm gonna tell you exactly how in my head I hear it. Greetings, Earthling. How are you? Because of our UFO conversations, because of aliens and all that, before we even talked about that stuff on a episode, I thought, oh, it's like instead of saying like greetings, Earthling, it would say greetings, Mary. It makes zero sense, I know, but in my head, it's just like paying homage to our little UFO sidebar conversations that we always have.
Yeah. And I sort of figured that out myself because you started doing it after that episode.
Yes.
And so I totally picked up on it, but I just thought it was so funny that it was like the first message and it's like, I don't know what it is about that. And I think they found the podcast and were kind of listening to a few episodes, so he felt compelled to write to me about it. And then a few months went by, and he always has commentary on these certain episodes, but he brought it up again, and he did say maybe it's me, maybe I'm the problem kind of comment.
No, clearly the problem.
I don't know why
me.
I don't like it.
Clearly the problem is with me. Clearly, and I'm gonna change. I'm gonna change for you, Mary, because I want
change
that person,
for him.
Yeah, well, I don't do any him, but I want them to keep listening. So what if I said, hey, what up? What about that? Do you like that?
Let's try another one next time and see.
What it do, baby boo? What it do, baby boo? How about that?
I don't know. We'll see. But I know he's gonna listen to this, and I'm gonna make sure to let him know to listen in. That we're giving him a shout out.
Right.
And again, he said it really nicely, but I laughed so hard this last time because he was like, "Or maybe it's just me. Maybe I just have a problem with it."
I kind of wish he would have insulted you and would have said something like,
No,
"What the fuck you
he's
doing
nice.
with this wanker? Why is this
Well,
wanker saying greetings?" All
see,
that
but
would be funny.
That's you assuming he's English, but he's American.
I assume everybody's English.
Yeah.
I'm like, if you complain, you're fucking English, And I even hear your accent too. I'm only kidding. That's not true.
We've triggered Leone.
No, it's a joke. In fact, you know what? The English people, like, they could insult you. They could tell you "fuck you" to your face in the most polite way ever. Like they could just say like, "Mary, why are you being such a wanker today?"
Yeah.
And in English, they'd be like, "You fucking bitch." It sounds way better, right? So.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I just thought it was funny, and I had to share since he's brought it up multiple times.
No, that's great. It's great.
Yeah,
funny.
but he would. You do you. Don't stop.
Are you sure? Because we can change this.
No.
We can change the course of
unless
reality.
you want to do a different greeting on every episode.
Okay, I will give you a different greeting every episode going forward.
Yeah.
Every time you have me on, whenever that is, maybe in September, October, whatever.
Oh my gosh, stop it.
I will give you a different one.
Okay. All right. I'll now I have that to look forward to.
And we'll see how the greetings marry for a UFO episode.
Greetings, Mary.
Greetings, Mary.
Greetings, Leone. Anyway. But yes, so I just got back from a trip. I went to Paris. This was a trip that we were planning. So I listened to this podcast and I'm like a huge fan. And if you guys have been listening to my little podcast, then you guys know that I'm such a history nerd and there's random stuff I like to listen to. And so this podcast is literally about the history of fashion. And it's hosted by Cassidy Zachary and April Callahan. And this is pre-COVID. They had said that they were going to be doing and hosting a trip to Paris to kind of go over the history of fashion. There's so many cities in the world that they could have done it, right? But they chose Paris.
Yeah, the city of blinding lights.
And so, I paid for it, and then COVID hit. So initially they pushed back the trip, and then they pushed it back again. And then it was like, okay, chances are we're going to do it next year. And so they pushed it back to June of this year, and then they pushed it back again to August. But I was like, I'm set on going.
Right.
I'm going to, as long as they have to push it back, I'm going to go. It was just, I think I was more like, I don't want to hassle on getting my money back kind of. I'm very lazy when it comes to stuff like that. So finally the time was approaching and we were able to go. So I was excited. I had a really great time. I've been to France this would be my third time.
Oh, nice.
So this was nice because these are the first time you do all the tourist stuff, right? The second time it was for a Euro Cup game. And then this time was, doing other stuff that wasn't we went to museums and stuff, but it was just learning and people that had similar interests as me. So I was really excited to meet. There was a lot of beautiful people that were there from different parts of the U.S. and everyone got along. And so it was interesting to see, just meet people that had similar interests and the podcast being one of them.
Oh, cool.
So I really enjoyed myself. So I definitely, and that's another thing. This was a huge milestone for me, Leone, because I've always traveled with somebody, whether it was a boyfriend or whether it's my best friends, right. I've always, maybe I've gone in on a plane and, went to, I don't know, Miami by myself, but it's within the US. This was the first trip I was taking on my own to meet a group of people I didn't know, which was a huge thing. So I was kind of getting nervous. I was like, oh, as long as I get to the, you see all these 24-hour, 48-hour shows, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, as long as I get to the hotel, I'm going to be good. I was so nervous about that. But once I was there, I got to where I needed to and I don't regret it. And now I feel motivated to do more trips like this. Not to say I don't love the people that travel with me. I love all my friends, right? But I just really, really enjoyed this a lot.
Great.
And so,
That's
yeah,
great.
I have a friend named Avery who does group trips like this. And so now I see why she does them on her own all the time. So I need to message her and be like, oh my God, I'm going to do this more.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was nice. I'm really, really, really happy that I went. And, you know, I know my mom was worried about me. Like, I'm in my 30s and my mom is still like, oh my God, text me every day when you're there. But the time difference made it a little harder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, that's going to
So,
be your mom no matter how old you are. Until you get married and kids and all that, like, they're still going to keep you on check, because that's what parents do. Trust me, my mom would do the same thing if she could.
yeah. Yeah.
But it's what it is. It's parenting.
Have you ever been to France?
Not France, no. I have this romanticized version of France that I wanted to explore again on my own because I'm the kind of person that goes to movies alone and will travel alone. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't feel the need like I have to be in a relationship or anything, for that kind of stuff. And because this all started when I became a photographer, like when I was in college, I became a photographer, and then I really intensely became involved with photography, the technical part of it to get it right, and to understand it, So people were always like, well, let's go do this, let's go hiking, let's go this, and it's like, and then you realize that you want to be there for 6 hours and they want to be there for 45 minutes, and it's like that doesn't work. So there's a lot of things in my life that it's like I have more pleasure doing them alone when it's when I'm seeking out a goal, but when it's for fun, just to goof off, like I don't care if friends join or whatever, like it's fun. So traveling is one of those things, and I think I told you in one of the early podcast episodes here about those actually three movies that I don't know if you ever saw them: Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, Before Midnight.
Yes, I remember that.
You didn't see them,
Yeah.
right?
I have not, but I do remember that because I remember someone had a message and said Leone was very passionate about his recommendations.
Like the word greetings.
Greetings.
Those movies, even though they're not like old movies or anything, it's just what happens in the movie, and it's honestly not much. It's just two people who connect for the first time on a train, and they spend the whole night together till the next morning. Then they reconnect 10 years later, and the second movie was actually filmed 10 years later, and they reconnect again in Paris. I'm sorry, the first movie was Budapest, I think. Second movie is Paris, and the third one is, I think, Italy. I think they're three different places, or Greece maybe. They're three different locations. But the point is that the second one in Paris was amazing because the whole movie they're walking, and they're talking about the history of they're talking about their history together, what they missed out because like they both got married and had kids, and they're both like, I think I saw you one day walking down the street in New York, and and then oh yeah, it was you, and I would dream about you, all like stuff that they miss about each other, but at the same time they're pointing out like the Notre Dame cathedral, they're pointing out the the Eiffel Tower, different touristy spots, but how it connects to history. So there's a lot that it's like, okay, if I ever go there, I want to like really just do it on my own, and just explore.
Take it all in.
Explore. And if I do have somebody with me who is passionate about that kind of stuff too, that's great. But more than likely, I usually don't, because my friends are not patient, and they have a schedule. They're like, do this, do that, do this, that, and it's like cool, but I kind of want to be here longer, or So I don't know. I think I think if I were to go there, I think I'd want to do it alone, or with somebody who's just as passionate,
Yeah, it's a lovely city. Because I've been there a few times now, I feel like if I do go back to France, I want to actually go to the southern part of France and see another side of France.
Where the poor people live. all these large estates and beautiful beaches and all that.
And the oceans and the cliffs. And well, mostly I just want to see like the farmland. Because I like that shit. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what I hope, hopefully, the next time I go. And then an interesting fact was, as you guys know, we're still dealing with COVID and the Delta variant. It's kind of spreading. And so, why we were initially just asked for the vaccination records to get there, and that way you don't need to get tested, kind of thing. But once we landed, they were not accepting your vaccination paper that everyone carries. You had to like file paperwork with the government or get tested for COVID, and that test would be valid for 3 days.
Yeah.
And then they would have to scan you at every restaurant, every museum we went. We had to show it. So there was an app that I downloaded that's anti-COVID.
Because they would know with that app, they would know if you're positive, right?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
the test. So when you go to the pharmacy to get tested, it has to be a specific test
Right.
that they give you a QR code.
Right.
That QR code, you can carry the paper with you, or have the app that we downloaded scan it so that it's on your app. And every restaurant has a scanning app where they would scan it, and because it's all in the same system, right? It would say, check it's validated, and if you didn't have it, you did not get to sit at the restaurant. So it was easier to do that. I guess get tested every 3 days.
Yeah.
But it didn't mess up the travels at all. It was just a 5-minute walk to the pharmacy. And, at one point the pharmacy was like half closed. So the guy opened like this little drive-through window and did it through the window.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting because I feel like maybe certain cities are going to do that here in the States soon. I didn't find an issue with it, but
I mean, it's yeah. I don't see an issue with that. But of course, here it's like, no, man, my rights, and it's like, fuck your rights. It's like I just want to live a normal life, It's like, just do it,
Well, actually, that Saturday too, I think they had protests against it.
Yes, they did.
In France,
they
and
still
so
do, I think.
they're doing it every Saturday.
Yeah.
So I got to see that as well.
It's funny when your plane landed, I almost texted you, but I'm like, no, I'm not going to. Because when your plane landed, the U.S. issued a travel advisory not to go to France.
Actually, no, I was still over there when they did that.
No.
I found out.
No, when your plane landed, when you got there.
Oh, yes.
Like right when you got there. When I saw it on the news, and I'm like, I don't want to tell her that.
Yeah. So when I got there, so I was like, well, as long as I can get back.
Right.
Right.
So
it basically said that once it wouldn't affect the people that were there already.
Yeah.
But they were very strict in getting back to the U.S. So to get to the U.S., you have to test negative for COVID. And our flight was delayed. So I'm now leaving France, right, to come to the U.S.
Right.
And we were all on the flight. And I guess, again, because literally all this happened while I was in Paris. And I also had taken a credit card and everything. I was like, well, if I test positive and I can't go back, I can't board the flight, I have to stay 10 days, right? I was like, at least I'll be set money-wise, right?
Yeah.
Luckily it didn't come to that, but again, I think it was because it was the initial week of all these new restrictions. I think people were still trying to figure out whether it's restaurants, right?
Right.
And the airport. So we were all boarded in the flight, and it was somewhat of a delay. And I did know I wasn't angsty or anything. I was just glad I was on the plane. And then like it had been like 30 minutes after our takeoff that they finally told us that, and I was on Air France. The lady was totally blunt, right? It turns out someone who was on, like, I guess that they didn't have the COVID test. Either it was expired or it wasn't the right one that the US required. But their party, so let's say it was a family of 4, all the luggage was in the plane already. So it was the reason our flight was delayed in hours because they had to take all of their luggage out of the plane, and then so they had to find it, right? Take it out.
Man.
Yeah, so someone had to stay behind, and they do have testing in the airport, but it just made us leave an hour later. But I wasn't totally upset by it because I knew I was going to be sleeping the whole time.
Right.
But yeah, so it's definitely strict to get back. It's stricter to get back into the U.S. than it was. It was stricter to get back into the U.S. obviously because they took these passengers stuff out, right? Because they were true to their word. You can't board.
Right.
But over there, you couldn't go to restaurants, museums, or anything without having, the QR code for your vaccinations and or a negative COVID test. And I'm under the impression that we have a better rate of vaccination. Like we rolled it out, even though people thought it was chaotic here. It sounds like we weren't as chaotic as other countries, and Europe is included in that. So it sounds like we did a better job, I guess, of getting more people vaccinated. Yeah. So I wasn't sure if the people were upset because they were anti-vaccine. I think there was a combination of anti-vaccine, and some of them are like, well, we still haven't gotten the chance.
Right.
Type of feel. So, but I don't know.
I'm finding the exact same thing, just as you said. So I'm talking to a lot of filmmakers who are in the UK, and they just told me like, I just got my first vaccine. And I'm like, dude, like, what the hell? Like, I want you to tell me this back in March, not today. Mm-hmm. Like, what? And they're like, the government, like, whatever, they just got them now. And I'm like, well, I don't know what's going on. What's taking so long? Like, you guys are England, like, what's taking so long? But I guess for whatever reason, it's been a while. So as much as you want to make fun of the U.S., whatever, it's like, I think you're right. I think we're doing much better than the rest of the world,
Yeah. I mean, not as good as Israel. They're already... Right. They've already given boosters to 10% of their population. Yeah. So I mean, they've always been ahead. But they're a lot smaller.
They are. But see, this is what I love about them. They have hardcore scientists and doctors. So the data we're getting from them is telling us what to expect. Mm-hmm. And they're not using like a Chinese or Russian, vaccines. They're actually using Pfizer or maybe Moderna, but most of them are Pfizer, I think. So at least that data, we can say, okay, the booster does this or protects more or less or longer, so it's going to be good data for the rest of the world to know.
Yeah. So, so it was definitely different traveling in the times of COVID. I know it's easier to travel from state to state, right? But it was interesting to see, how another country is handling it, and also, the airport, like I said, I wasn't upset about it, but it was just an extra step. You needed to make sure you had the test that the US accepts within that time frame, and it sounds like one of them may have expired. Right. And so they had to get off the plane. And so not off the plane, they never made it on the plane, but they had to find all of their luggage. And so I'm under the impression that I know LAX has a COVID place that you can go get tested for. But you have to pay for that, I believe. And they also had it in the airports in France. But every pharmacy has it as well. But I just thought, I thought I'd share my little experience there. No, but I do believe... Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry, you were saying?
No, I was just going to say, I do believe that some major cities might do that, because I know New York is talking about it or sort of started it. I'm not sure.
They've already done something, yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't see, on the day-to-day in Paris, I didn't see anyone really running into issues, but I also didn't realize they were going to be protesting on Saturday. Right. So, yeah, I got a taste of it also.
But this is really, really good insight. Thank you for sharing, all this information, because I'm sure people are wondering, like, what happens if I travel to Europe? Like, what do I expect? And of course, this is a big city in Europe, one of the biggest hubs of Europe, But I have one question, because over the years, people always talk about how in France, they're more French than other European countries, which will go out of your way to help you in English, So
sorry, they're more French than other countries in Europe.
Well, what I mean is, like, we Francais, we don't speak English. Like, fuck you. Go find your translator. Bring your translator to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you go to Italy, they'll speak English. Germany will speak English. Ireland, of course. But but for example, for whatever reason, French, they're proud of their culture and their language, and a lot of people don't speak English, you know? So I was wondering, with dealing with all these tests and the pharmacy and all that, how was it? Like, was everything documented in English, or did somebody speak English to you? Like, how did that work out?
Well, the restaurants, I can tell you that all the restaurant people were super happy to see us because I think they've been hit hard just like here. So that's why I believe that the government here is going to do the same thing with the passes because they don't want to shut down the restaurants. These are people's livelihood, right?
Right.
So I think that it works so smoothly over there. So I think they were just happy. And a few hosts in the hotel says that people are just happy that we're getting some tourism back because certain sectors of Paris is tourism.
Right.
And so they were, in that sense, they were happy. But if we went to the pharmacy and if there always seemed like there was someone who, whether in broken English, could speak to people. There was people from all over the world because the law where they basically, let's say we got there Sunday, basically on Tuesday, they were like, nope, scratch that. You need this pass and you can either be negative or COVID test every 3 days, or you need to file all these paperworks with the government, right?
Right.
So the pharmacies all were getting a lot of line. And I think that's what they were not ready for, was the inundation of tourists or people that needed to get the pass to get in because they don't want to get vaccinated, right? It's like French citizens. So, but when everything was, they made us fill a paper and then, you just Google translate it. And so it would change the language. So it was very easy. Technology is amazing, by the way. Or else I would have been like completely lost. But I have to give props to one of the girls who was on the trip. Her name is Vivian. Super, super, super on it. Finding stuff with her data plan. So nice. I owe my life to her.
That's great.
Yeah. But yeah, so it was interesting. Another thing that happened is, I don't know if you listen to football news, but Lionel Messi,
yes.
While I think as I was getting on the plane, there was rumors that he was going, and then once I landed, it's like, oh, it's settled.
Yeah.
The contract's been signed. So everyone was like, mostly men were like, oh my God, I hate you. I hate that you're there.
Right.
He's supposed to be there.
That's
they
funny.
weren't telling me, oh, I love your posts and how beautiful and romantic this city was.
No.
They were like, where's Messi?
Right.
So,
now,
yeah.
I want your insight in this because I know you follow football and I know you follow these star players, and you know about them, the clubs they play for and all that. Where is he in his career? Is he still at his prime? Is he still at the top, the best, the good? I mean, or is he in his final years? Is he slowing down? What's his story?
Well, this is debatable. So don't write to me, guys, and hate messages. But I believe, this is just my opinion, I believe he's in the end of his prime.
Okay.
But he's one of the best players. And, he's, in his third, I don't know how old he is, actually. But
so he's basically Roy Kent. He's Roy Kent.
Oh, on Ted Lasso?
Right?
No, not there yet. Don't even go there.
Hey, watch. You're going to see he's going to come back.
He has a few years, I think. He has. But I do believe his peak. He's 34. So I believe he's at the end of his peak. But he's still playing well. But 34, 35, 36, that's when things people start to retire.
Right.
Although a lot of these players now tend to play longer. And that's when they start changing leagues. Some even will play to almost 40 and go to China where they pay a lot of money.
That's crazy.
Yeah, for a year or two, but definitely I believe he's at the end of his prime, but he's still good. I mean, if he could not, there's no way, people are going to hate me for this, there's no way he would ever come and end his career at the MLS. Like, we're just, even him being 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, he'd be so much better than any of the players we have here.
Right.
So anyways, but yes, that's just my opinion. So I think he's at the end of his prime, but he's still better than pretty much all the players out there.
So now he's playing for Paris Saint-Germain. Mm-hmm. Nice. Mm-hmm. And Paris has welcomed him, open arms. Everybody loves him, loves the idea.
Yeah, love him.
That's great.
So there was a lot of when you were in the subways, you would see pictures of him everywhere. I'm assuming that's how it probably was when Cantona was like really big. But there was a lot of kids with his jersey already. How they got it, they probably sold out the moment they hit the shelves. So yeah, they were really excited, very, very excited. And even a day or two before he actually went to the stadium to officially be in the kit, people were already waiting outside of the hotel he was staying, the airport, and the stadium. And he was still in Spain, and they were already like flocking, and they had to put barricades. So it was really pretty intense. I'm assuming that's how it probably was when Maradona went to Napoli.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure. So basically, Barcelona is no happy, right?
No, I'm sure they're not going to do well for a few years. They're restructuring, and they had a really good team for a really long time, but people age and it goes in cycles, so should be interesting to see. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that was another thing, but other than that, that's all I have to report on my end.
Well, I got a question about your little trip there. Talk about the food, the French food, because it's people always rave about it. People always rave about, oh, you got to go to these cuisines, and it's all about the sauces and this and that. Like, did you try anything different this time than your previous, times that you were there? Is there anything that you took in that you were like, wow, this was amazing?
I tried a duck plate and escargot, and that was the only thing different that I didn't do the other times. I didn't want to do the escargot before because I was like freaked out, but I said, no, you know what? You remember what we talked about last year was really hard. So I'm like, from here on out, I'm trying shit. I'm just going to try it once. And I really liked it. They took us to this really nice restaurant. You can taste the garlic and the pesto, but I did it and I don't have no regrets. And then I had never had duck before, so I figured I'd try that as well. So that was good. But, my parents are Salvadorian and I grew up in a Mexican neighborhood. So to me, I feel like it's not as flavorful as I expect.
Right.
But yeah, I can see why people would like it. Yeah.
Interesting. I can't get myself to try escargot. I just, okay, put it this way. This is how stupid I am, okay? If there's a girl involved and she asks me, I'm going to say yes and like it and pretend it's the most amazing thing ever. And I'm like, whatever, because there's a girl involved, But when it's like just a bunch of friends involved, I'm like, fuck no. I ain't trying that. Yeah. But no, you're right though. It's in the context, those things were probably simmered in butter and garlic and, spices, and I'm sure the flavor was amazing, And that's what I have to, get over and actually try someday, not here. I want to try it over there,
Yeah.
So yeah. How about bakeries? Do you have any French bread in the mornings or croissant? Anything?
Well, I had croissant like every morning. Our hotel was very Art Deco, like it was so cute, and we had like breakfast there, so I would just enjoy the breakfast. But I think there was like bakeries around the hotel, because certain mornings you could just smell fresh bread like coming through your windows or whatever, so that was really nice. But I didn't try anything. I did have some treats. I'm trying to remember. I think it was like on a Friday I did. But again, nothing that was like, wow, in my mind, but it was good. I enjoyed everything.
I'm always told by some friend somewhere or something, they're like, you haven't lived until you've had a fresh croissant in the morning in Paris. And I'm like, well, someday.
Yeah, the atmosphere,
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. But I'm glad to be back safe. And,
yes, me too.
Yeah. And, now I'm just getting back in the groove of things before I'm going to be taking little trips, nothing too crazy like that, but
nice.
I'm glad I did it. So, and if you guys are into historical fashion stuff, please listen to the Dress podcast. They're so good. And interview a lot of great people. So yeah, it was nice to hang out with them. they were like celebrities in my book, you know, like, oh my God, I love them. They're so cool. Like,
That's great. And that just says a lot about people who are passionate about what they do and how they package their information. And
mm-hmm.
when it's done so well, that's how you become a fan or a listener, you know what I'm saying? And then you want to meet them. And then to you, they're probably bigger than Lionel Messi, you know? It's like, okay, maybe not, but I'm getting that, you know what I'm saying? Because it's something
Yeah.
you're passionate about. You're passionate about the fashion or, the art, the construct, the process, the history behind it. And that's something you probably won't get here, no matter whose class you take or whoever you meet here. And sometimes it takes crossing the continents, over to Europe and meeting a group there and exploring, these ideas and artistics and fashion and designs there. And it makes all the difference in the world. And that's what makes you,
Yeah.
the fan for life,
And I hope that they pick if they do it again, maybe when COVID is over, if they pick other cities, I'm totally signing up. So, but yeah, it was really nice. But yeah, and then I took 2 days off and then I just binge watched TV,
Nice.
which was nice before I even went back to work. So there's this show that I'm obsessed with and all my girlfriends are talking about called Valeria on Netflix. If you guys don't, it's very girl oriented. It's like Sex in the City and it's based in Spain, Madrid. But me and my friends have been like, me and my cousin used to talk about it last year and then the second season came. So I was just, for the 2 days I was off, I binged the show. So that's something that I don't know if you've seen my posts. We're like tagging each other who is who.
I did
on the show.
I did,
Yeah.
and it didn't make sense to me because I'm like, I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, so I definitely
funny.
recommend that show if anyone's into it. It literally is like Sex in the City with a modern twist, but these girls are dysfunctional, but they're not like bougie as well. They're bougie, but not like Sex in the City type. But it was just very relatable.
Right.
And it reminded me and my girlfriends of how we were in our past relationships, as friends, and so one of our girlfriends, Marlene, moved to Arizona and she was like, it makes me miss you girls because she started watching it. So yeah, I should totally write a script. I mean,
You're like, that's
I love
me.
my friends. Yeah, no,
That's cool.
it's definitely a good show I recommend. So do you have any? I've binged it and now I don't have another show to watch. So do you have something to recommend?
I did. Yeah, I do. So you said the show's called Valeria. It's in Spanish,
Netflix.
Spanish production, Netflix. Is it only one season or is it two? Or
It's 2 seasons, so it's based on an author, and she has a series of 4 or 5 books. And I love to read books, so I was like, oh my god. But my list is so long, my TBR is so long that
That's
I can't add this. I'll just stick to the show. So there's 2 seasons right now. So while I was out of town, the second season dropped, and so I was like, oh my god, I gotta binge this. But I started watching season 1 again because I loved it that much.
right.
And then watch season 2 and I'm like obsessed with the characters because it literally is me and my girlfriends. Like, it's pretty crazy. We're a little dysfunctional, guys.
See, now I want to watch to find out which one you are, so I can start just laughing.
Yeah, so obviously when we say it's like us, it's just the way, like, I'm very indecisive
Right.
and I overanalyze shit and I'm in my head, so
Right.
that's a certain character that's like that. And then you have one that's like more of a mess because she has issues with mom or dad. It's just really interesting.
Right.
Just like I'm sure every group of friends has all those issues. So
That's funny.
yeah, so tell me suggest a good show for me.
Good show. Oh, here's the thing. For you, I don't know. That's a tough one. Because the stuff that I'm watching has been pretty edgy lately. And I'm like, shit. Like, there's a
Yeah.
show. And this is funny. Okay, this just goes to show you how it's being marketed. There's a show I keep mentioning to people. And they're like, oh, I'm going to watch it next. Then I'm kind of like, nah, you probably shouldn't, It's being advertised. The show is called Brand New Cherry Flavor. Have you seen the ads for that?
No, I haven't.
It's all over Netflix. Mind you, I know nothing about it, right? Except that we would be talking to somebody about the show, in the near future. So I had to watch it, right? I had to binge it, the first season, which I think was only 8 episodes. The lead girl, her name is Rosa Salazar. You've seen her in other movies. She's a great actress, and she stars opposite Catherine Keener, who you know from, I don't know if you've ever seen 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Yes.
Yeah, she's the lady, the grandma. So I don't know what the show's about. Like the first episode's a little weird, It's kind of like this girl's trying to make her movie. This young girl, Rosa Salazar, is in her 20s, trying to make her movie, right? And she meets a guy, and this guy is sort of like Harvey Weinstein, He's kind of trying to throw the casting couch at her, And she's like, I'm not having it, She's like, fuck you and your movie, like I'm out, But the thing is, she already signed. So she signed her whole rights to her movie and everything away. So now she's pissed because she's like, I signed my baby away, and now I can't get it back, and he wants me to sleep, all this weird stuff. But that's what I thought it was about, okay? What I didn't realize, it gets extremely dark and extremely gory and crazy, but in a very, very fun comedic way. So when she meets Catherine Keener's character in the end of episode 1, she doesn't realize what she's getting into with her, because she just says, I can help you, come see me, But what she doesn't realize is this woman is something else. And she says, I don't charge for my services, but you're going to pay me with kittens. Okay? Now, when somebody says that to you, you're going to be like, what the fuck do you mean, right?
Yeah.
So every time she wants payment, when she randomly wants a kitten, and it could be any moment of the day or night, wherever this girl's hanging out or whatever she's doing, she can force this girl to basically give birth to a kitten.
Ew. How
weird does that sound?
Very.
Except the kitten comes out of the mouth. So it is weird, okay? But so funny at the same time, because it's a very, very dark comedy, And yes, there are some horror elements to it. So not scary, but just gross and dark,
Yeah.
But
maybe I'll add it to my list.
Super entertaining. Like, everybody I told to watch, they're just like, oh my God, like, give me the scoop. When's season 2? Whatever. I'm like, I have no idea, But I really, really enjoyed it. Something a lot of fun, for sure.
I'll start watching it and see, and then I'll just close my eyes if I see anything gory.
It's just weird, because they don't tell you what the show's about. They don't even tell you why it's called Brand New Cherry Flavor. They just, it's like, watch it, Yeah. And it does go on a fun adventure, and I enjoyed it. I'm like, because you never know what's going to happen next. You're like, what's this girl going to get into next? Like, what's her next problem, So, fun show for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And of course, been watching Ted Lasso, like you have, catching up on that show.
Yeah, I love him.
I love that the Christmas episode that they just had a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Last week, and it was a nice parody on, do you know which movie?
No.
Oh, maybe you haven't seen it. Did you ever see the movie Love Actually?
Oh, a long time ago, yeah.
Yeah. They were kind of parodying
I did not pick up on that. Oh, wow.
There's a scene where the girl, they come to the little girl, they go to her and her Uncle Roy and the Keeley go to the boy who's been harassing her about her mouth, and she's flipping the cards with the message. And she's telling the boy, like, oh, I took medicine and now I'm better, and basically screw you, and and the kid's like, oh, I'm sorry, whatever. Like that whole scene is basically from the movie Love Actually, but it plays out differently, because it plays out on a guy who his best friend got married to a girl, and he really loves that girl, but he never said anything. So he does the thing with the cards on Christmas Eve to tell her that he loves her, except he could never be with her, So yeah, it was pretty funny. It was a good episode. I was kind of surprised it came out of nowhere, because we're not even Halloween, it's not even like fall yet, and they already had the Christmas episode, so I was kind of surprised at that. But it was a fun little distraction,
Yeah, and I think too, because it's only like 8 episodes.
I
The
think
season is it?
no, this
Or
one's
is
going
it
to be
10?
longer. It's going to either be 12 or 14.
Yeah. So the reason I think it's like that is just because they decide. This is what I think. Yeah, this I could be wrong, but they started a promotion, right? Ted Lasso is their most successful show.
Yes.
It wasn't the morning news show. It's like move over,
Right.
Jennifer Aniston. We got a new king in
Right.
town. So last year, Apple around August and September started saying if you buy a new Mac or anything that's over a certain amount of money, you get free like 3 months or a year
Right.
of Apple TV, right? So I noticed that all of them were expiring in July, and that's when they put Ted Lasso episode 1. So now I'm
Okay.
paying Apple TV. It's only $4.99, but I was like, these motherfuckers are smart because they extended it that you get 4 more months for free, I
Right.
think. So I got it 4 more months, and then I realized and I noticed that they started charging me like the first week of Ted Lasso. And I've been talking about this show for so long. Nobody was watching it. Now everybody's on their nutsack. Excuse my
Right.
language, but but I noticed they're really smart. They started charging people who had it for free as long as we did. When the new season of Ted Lasso started.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because now I'm paying for it only for Ted Lasso.
Yeah, it's
So
funny. I pay for no matter what because I mean, I discovered that everything I watched on there is actually pretty good. Like
yeah,
as long as you're in the mindset, like for example, I could care less about Jason Momoa, but half my girlfriends are like, "Oh my god, I'll watch whatever he's in, shirtless, whatever." And I'm
yeah.
like, that's cool, you know?
There's a new thing on Netflix that I added to my list just because he's on it. A movie.
Yeah, exactly. But see, I have not seen that show C that he's on, C,
Oh yeah,
where they're blind people, you know, on Earth, whatever, some
yeah.
post-apocalyptic future, whatever. I have not seen it. Now, people say it's great, but when I'm in the mindset to do so, I will eventually watch it, and hopefully it's good, you know. But the other shows I've checked out on there have been good, so I don't mind paying for it because I think that they really are working on some great content, and it shows. You know, when you watch Ted Lasso, when you watch The Morning Show, and all these other shows, like Servant, especially. Oh my God, Servant's so amazing. You know, that they really are putting the best people to make these shows, and
Yeah.
it's great. Like that's how it should be. You know.
Yeah. And I think Ted Lasso and The Morning Show are kind of helping them bring people around. But I feel like Ted Lasso really is doing that now.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because I feel like the other show, I was like, yeah, I like both of those girls are queens in my eyes. But I just wasn't like, I want to watch it.
Right.
They got nominated and I still was like, And then I just, someone recommended Ted Lasso. And then I kept raving about it on this podcast. I was like, and the thing about Ted Lasso is that they're writing right off the bat. I was like, guys, they're on Twitter. Every character has a Twitter account.
Yes.
This was before everyone discovered it.
Right.
The football team had a Twitter. You know, they would retweet whatever was happening in the Premier League. You know, like stuff like that. They were
Right.
engaging
Right.
this fans that are on Twitter, and so people are like, "Oh, let me watch the show." And so they took it another notch. Oh, and I think I told you the Mourinho coach had also said they asked him a question. This was like more than a year ago, and he's like, well, like I told Ted Lasso, and I was like, oh my God, he watches Ted Lasso. Like
Right.
Ted Lasso had only been out for like 3 episodes, you know,
Right.
and he was talking about this at his press conference. So now what they've done is they've really gotten like the MLS involved as well, other leagues as well.
Right.
And then so like when they were saying Messi was leaving, where is he going? They tweeted a picture of Messi's coming to us, AF Richmond, you know, like,
Right.
and they like photoshopped. I mean, they're so good. And then whenever they have references of like Diane Sawyer or like other people on the internet, they'll tweet the people tweet at these accounts now, and they were
Right.
like, you know, the most recent one was they were talking smack about. In one of these episodes, Ryan Reynolds
Yes.
owns a team, and so they sent them a letter. Ryan Reynolds did send him a
Right,
letter
right.
like, you can't trash us like that. and we'll let you make it up to us by sending us some of those cookies, the little cookies
The biscuits.
Yeah. Aw. But I'm in love with Ted Lasso. So if you see my tweets, I'm always like, te amo, Ted Lasso. Like, I wanted to heal his heart after season 1, and I would have dated him if he was open to it.
See, here's how I'm sure he still will. Don't worry. Ted Lasso, we call him marry up later. Watch.
Yeah.
No, but you know what? You know what that
He's
show.
gonna end up with Rebecca. I can see it.
It kind of feels that way, right? I mean, they already hinted at something, right?
Yeah. Well, I think they're texting each other.
Yes.
I think so.
Yeah, but you know what? That show, honestly, when it first started, I was not in the mood, right? Like episode 1, I couldn't do it. I'm like, because.
Wait, did you start watching it because I kept going on about it?
No, it was before.
Please.
I mean, but
whatever. No, I'm just kidding.
Sorry. No, I wish I could say that it was, but no, it's just. But when I finally got through episode 1, and then I got into episode 2, then I realized what they're doing with it. Mm-hmm. I thought going in, he was just going to be another idiot character, right? Keeps doing stupid things, right? But it's not the case. It's like he's actually a really smart character, and he has a lot of heart, and he believes, and like he says, I believe and believe. He truly believes in people doing the right thing, and giving people a chance, and the humanity, right? And I was thinking, wow, there's a lot of humanity in this show. But the genius of it is there's a lot of fucked up, funny humor in it. Mm-hmm. And if you watch movies like Love Actually, which is a Christmas movie, it's a Christmas rom-com, right? But there's some dark elements to it, because some people hook up and some don't, right? It's a happy, sad movie, right? But the comedy in that shit is so funny in that movie. And that's what I started to see in this show. I'm like, oh, this is hilarious. Mm-hmm. And then they spread the magic. So it's not just the Ted Lasso hour or half hour, whatever. Everybody gets to shine. Like there's an episode about the assistant coach, or Coach Beard, what he's doing with some random girl playing chess, or the owner of the club, they're spreading the love, or one of the players, or a different player this week, or a different player. And I'm like, this is genius because it all ties in together,
Yeah. And if you guys are out there, don't have a Twitter account, please get one. If you're a huge fan of Ted Lasso, every player that's a main character, everyone has a Twitter account. So the team will, like, let's say, the episode where they killed the dog?
Yes.
Yeah. So, they have like post-conference video that they tweet, right. It's so funny. And then to see other teams from actual teams, right, from Europe and from everywhere respond and retweet, it's really, really nice, and Ted Lasso, the biggest thing right now is with school starting, we're seeing a lot of people get the believe signs and putting them up in their classrooms, and they're tweeting that, and so it's a really nice community. Like I said, the team has it. They even did a memorial for the dog that died. I mean, it's just Twitter, their PR company from day one knew what they were doing, and they knew their base was a certain people. And so they attacked Twitter quickly. Yep. And I think that's how word spread, as more tweets went out and they're engaging. And now you have celebrities and, like Ryan Reynolds tweeting out his letter of how upset he is that they were talking smack about his team, Right. So it's really good, you guys. If you are a fan, I would just get on there and follow all of them. It's pretty interesting because they do play the role even on Twitter. Whoever these writers are amazing. So
it totally is. It's a feel good show for those days when you really need something. Even if it's a dark, sad episode, it's still a feel good show with a positive message. Mm-hmm. And that's what I liked about it. But the writing is genius, because like I said, remember I was just saying earlier how you could say something, how somebody from England, from the UK would talk, and they could insult you, and it sounds different than if you just told somebody off in American English. Mm-hmm. It's just, the comedy is so much funnier,
Yeah.
And it's so quick, and it's not, it doesn't feel forced. It feels normal. It feels like these are average people dealing with, everyday problems, and some of them, trying to be celebrities or trying to be bigger and trying to do the right thing in life or whatever. And it works. It all works, and yeah, I couldn't recommend it enough. It's just a great show.
Yeah, so we got totally sidetracked, but
Yeah.
I love it. But yes, thank you, Leone, for doing another episode with me. I really was like, Leone, I'm getting a little too relaxed here. I need to record an episode so I can get back in the groove. So I definitely have an episode next week that I'm going to be doing some research on, and that's on Miss Hedy Lamarr, and I've been really wanting to do it, but I was not getting in the groove of getting back into this whole thing after such a beautiful trip. So I appreciate for helping me with this episode where we just kind of chit chat and catch up.
Oh, you're welcome. It's my pleasure, and I absolutely love doing this with you. And just a little teaser for you here. You know that they're making a Hedy Lamarr show on Apple TV Plus.
But that's not with oh Lord, Wonder Woman. I forgot her name.
Yes, it is.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I would definitely. I didn't realize it was a show. I thought it was a movie that she had signed up for. But I definitely, want to talk about her in depth as far as her achievements outside of her acting,
right,
and her background and what she has given to us as a world. And as far as technology, she was ahead of her time.
right.
And so I'm definitely going to be looking into that, and I'll discuss how I found out about it. And one of them was reading a book that I picked up that was recommended. And so I'm so glad I did, because then I didn't know who she was really.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to, in the next episode where I can fill you guys all in on that. And it is a coincidence as well that after I read the book, I saw this Netflix documentary on her, went through YouTube, was totally obsessed with her ideas and everything she did. And then maybe months later to see that I thought it was a movie. So you're saying it's a show?
It's going to be a limited run series, yes.
Okay. Well, I guess I'm going to be keeping Apple after Ted Lasso's off.
Yeah. Like I said,
Yeah.
and Apple just, they do it right, and yeah, so Gal Gadot is supposed to portray her, unless that changes, but I think she signed on to do it, so.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Well, I'm excited. Yeah. Well, all right. So we'll see you guys next time. And I hope you guys had a good 2 weeks while I was out. And we'll talk soon. Bye. That was episode 69 of the Purposely Curious podcast. Make sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on most podcast platforms. And follow us on social media at Purposely Curious on Instagram and at Purposely C Pod on Twitter. That's Purposely, the letter C, Pod. Until next time, you know what to do.